upon trauma a lot. I actually did want to lead into the next question then.
Sure.
So I'm sure you've seen a lot of cases like this, but
Yeah.
how does trauma look? And can you tell us in which ways trauma might manifest itself?
Okay. So even the word, okay, so trauma is a new trending word, by the way. I don't think maybe 10 years, 15 years, it's not as spoken about.
Well,
Right?
not maybe in the sense that we're discussing it, because trauma back then would have been like, blunt force trauma,
Exactly.
yeah,
Very
right?
like, I saw a war, I saw somebody die, and this is,
Yeah, exactly.
right now, from my understanding, trauma can happen to anyone, right? And my trauma and your trauma could be,
She,
which
guys, she
sorry?
just spoiled the next question, guys.
Oh, sorry.
I'm gonna ask. We're gonna touch upon that as well, but go ahead. You're saying,
So, sorry, your question was, how does trauma look like, right?
yeah, and like ways it manifests itself.
So trauma could be very different for everyone. Like, so it could be emotional, psychological, it could be physical. So, like, the thing with trauma is like, there's no definition. It's an emotional experience to something, an event, right? Does that make sense? So,
It
for
does,
example,
because I can give you an example. I can give you one.
okay, so yeah,
Phobias.
please.
Phobias is a big example of like trauma.
Okay,
So, what happens is, if you ask anybody with a phobia, you ask
okay,
them you can ask them what their memory is. They will
uh-huh,
remember what their phobia is. It's like studies on this. You'll
okay,
remember. So
yeah,
I'll share my funny one.
yeah,
So I had a phobia of bees. Terrified, okay? Those
oh,
wasps come around me, I'm
yeah,
running. I'm
okay,
running, okay? Grown
okay,
man running.
yeah,
So my first memory of that was a child who had an arm sling on, and it was all full of blood. Like,
oh,
it was bloody sling. I couldn't
yeah,
believe it. I was in grade 1. See, I remember.
oh, that's
What
really
happened to
young.
your
Yeah,
arm? What happened to your arm? I got stung by a bee. What do you think happened? I'm like, oh my God. So I
never again.
associated that fear of a bee sting
Yeah,
doing that to me. And
yeah,
it becomes an irrational fear.
yeah.
But later down the road, I learned that the kid just fell and that's what happened. But anyhow,
So you
um,
connected quickly, right?
exactly.
Yeah,
So a lot of times that's an example of a traumatic event or
yeah.
traumatic thought that is
That's
manifesting
particularly for
itself.
you because the kid, so it's interesting. So again, going back to what trauma looks like, it's going through a very stressful event that is frightening or distressing, right?
Hmm.
That sometimes it's called trauma. Like a traumatic event can happen at any age. It can happen to anyone. And some people will go as far as it's an emotional shock, right? I get in a car accident, you get in a car accident, you might be like, okay, whatever, it happens to everyone, I'll go. But I'm like, oh my God, I'll never drive again. It's it's not the event itself, how it impacts you and how you interpret is the key, I think.
And the association is made too. Back to
Exactly.
your driving example.
Yeah.
What if like that accident happened at one intersection?
Yeah.
That intersection, you start to become you feel your
Yeah.
anxiety creep
Yeah.
up at
Yeah.
that intersection. But
Yeah.
then you get past it and you're driving fine the rest.
Yeah. Exactly. So
Just like that.
and if you Google trauma, there's definition, there's so many different things, but just it's a stressful event that that it's very personalized for you, and it's emotional shock, it's a physiological shock. The physical is there, but it's how I interpret what I experienced or what I saw. So it's not always what I experienced, what I saw. Like maybe you are a bystander and you
That's an
saw me,
experience too, though, if
right?
you think
So
about
what I
it.
perceived, it could be one.
If you want to hear more stories, don't forget to subscribe, comment, and like. To support more youth by youth led projects, visit us at youthspeak.ca, where you can donate and spread youth mental health awareness.
YouthSpeak Performance Charity. Speak, inspire, change.